Welcome into HQ Spotlight. This is the place to be, and apparently so is the A this week as we welcome you into a brand new show here. Haley Sutton alongside Jacqueline DiAgostino. Man, the MLB All-Star festivities right now kicking off in a big way out in Atlanta. Shout out to the Big Dumper, by the way, who won the Home Run Derby. Things are just getting started. And we're going to keep our attention in Atlanta because, of course, SEC Media Day is going on right now from the College Hall of Fame.
Yeah, before we move to this, I just have to say, you know, if Matt Olson was not going to win in his home stadium, I did need the Big Dumper to win.
Give me a good nickname.
So we can say that on television multiple times. I'll never get over it. Let's go to SEC Media Days today, right? Because right now we're talking Texas, Georgia, Auburn, and Tennessee. The Volunteers, man, it has been quite the offseason, filled with a whole lot of drama, right? But now they're looking ahead to life without their former quarterback, Nico Iamaleava. Head coach Josh Heupel entering year 5 with a lot of questions, Haley, after earning a spot in the CFP. He kicks off our conversation from the ATL. Let's take a listen.
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's never about who's not in your building. It's about who is in your building. And for us, you can lose a quarterback at a lot of different times, right? December transfer portal, spring transfer portal. You can lose one week one, first quarter of a ball game in your opener, and now you're on to number 2, through injury, right? And so you got to have a next guy up mentality. And at the end of the day, having the right guys that want to be there, want to compete with their brothers that are inside of that locker room, building that connection, but also having the right guys in there. And at the end of the day, I'm really excited about who we have in there. The addition of Joey, who was already inside of that group, highly competitive guys that are smart, that have the physical traits to be successful. Teammates have grown to have great trust in those guys through the course of this offseason during the summer, and now it's about getting to training camp and going competing, and somebody's going to earn the opportunity to be our starting quarterback through that process.
All right, so let's welcome in our guys, Josh Pate and Damien Harris, joining us from SEC Media Days. A lot to unpack there, gentlemen, from Josh Heupel and what he had to say. He seemed very nonchalant about the quarterback situation, just kick things off, saying it's next man up mentality, and also saying that somebody is going to have the opportunity to earn the starting quarterback job, right? We kind of are thinking it's going to be Joey Aguilar. That is going to be who is under center. How do you guys, and Damien, I'll come to you first here, how do you kind of see Joey Aguilar, if it is him under center? What does he bring to this Volunteer squad here that maybe Nico Iamaleava did not moving forward as they're trying to get back to the CFP?
Well, Heupel mentioned it to start. First and foremost, he's a guy that actually wants to be there. It's not about the money. It's not about anything other than being a Tennessee Volunteer. And at the end of the day, that's what you want at your quarterback position. You want a guy who, whether he sat and waited his time, whether he came in fresh and just got the opportunity, you just want a guy that wants to be there. And I commend Josh Heupel so much for setting the precedent with Nico Iamaleava's departure and how he handled that and how he spoke with his team and how he set the precedent of no one man is bigger than the team. It doesn't matter if you're the quarterback. It doesn't matter if you're the head coach. This is about having the right guys that want to be in these seats because, as we know, Pate, you know this, those seats, they change every single year. There's more players that rotate every single year, but it's about finding the right guys who want to be there, who want to be a Tennessee Volunteer and want to compete at the highest level. That's what it's about, and that's what Josh Heupel is looking for at the quarterback position.
I'll say this too. This kid, the public sees, okay, he was at UCLA. Well, he's never played at UCLA. He played at Appalachian State. And if you look at his touchdown to INT ratio, there's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of interceptions. So to get past the 50,000 foot and to drill down on the field, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I look at Josh Heupel's offense and I think to myself, okay, that offense has made stars before. It could make stars again for this kid. He's got some arm talent. What I hope is a lot of the decision-making is handled for him procedurally. It's handled for him on the sideline. A lot of pre-check stuff is done for him through the machinations of this offense. And so if you look at the 25-14 there, obviously that's not winning you ball games in any conference, much less the SEC. But if I believe in Josh Heupel's offense, it's the kind of offense that cuts that INT ratio in half. It bumps that 55.9 up to about 64.8 or something like that. And then it's a dogfight. I'm gonna put myself in probably 5 one-possession games. If I can go +2, +3 in those, I'll be comfortable with the result at that point.
Pate, you mentioned making stars there. They've done it once, they can do it again. And if we look at their transfer portal here, it's a weak incoming transfer class, the second worst in the SEC. So, Pate, do you have confidence in Josh Heupel when you're looking at this offense, really in totality, only returning 3 starters from last season to be able to find success when in this day and age in college football, the transfer rankings, the transfer portal, it is so huge, and this is what they're dealing with?
Bluntly, no, I don't have a lot of confidence, but I didn't have a ton of confidence before Nico left. Jacqueline, I always circled 2025 as a year that it was not going to be a rebuild, but it was kind of a reset, so to speak. I think with how compacted the top of the SEC is, it's like watching a NASCAR race where they're like 10 or 15 cars bunched up together. They're all going 190 miles an hour. If you fall off to 183, you're still going pretty fast. But you go from 1st to 10th really quick. Not a whole lot changed. And so with Tennessee, or any of these teams for that matter, it doesn't take a ton of drop-off. It doesn't take losing 19 starters or something like that. If you fall off pace a little bit, you still be a pretty good team. Pretty good's good enough to get you about an 8-4 record. But I think what you just talked about, what Damien just talked about, is so critically important because it extends beyond the win-loss record this year. If they're 4-8, forget it. It's a disaster no matter what. But if it's an 8-4 year, and in the interim, in the longer-term perspective, you sort of planted your flag. You defined what your program's about. Everyone saw it. You got a lot of young kids you're going to play this year. You got the #1 quarterback in the country committed to you for next year. They're all looking at that. Like, they could play as hard as they can, as good as they can this year and go 8-4, but you bring a lot of them back the following year. And you bring a lot of them back the following year having learned to do things your way, learning what your Tennessee program is about. Mind you, this is already a guy in Josh Heupel that pulled Tennessee out of the ditch. Because it had been a decade and a half since they've beaten you guys, and they've done that 2 out of the last 3 years. So you know Tennessee again. If they take a step back this year and they're 8-4, given the external things that we're talking about here, it's not the worst thing in the world to me.
If we look at the schedule, you kind of talked about it a little bit there, Pate. They're hitting the road, Tennessee, for 2 of their 3 most difficult opponents in 2025. So, yes, hosting Georgia on September 13th, but then you got to go to Alabama in mid-October. You have to go to the Swamp at Florida at the end of November. Damien, how crucial is it for Tennessee if they can pick up one of those wins, whether it's at Bama or at Florida? I know Florida and Bama on the back half of the season, but how much of a difference maker and momentum shift could that be if they can pick up one of those wins on the road?
Well, it could be imperative because, like we're talking about, you're going to have a young, unproven quarterback. You've got a lot of young guys. You've got not the best transfer portal class. And then you can look at a Mississippi State or an Arkansas, and maybe they're not supposed to lose that game, but maybe they do because
they did last year.
Exactly, because some of those same things that we're talking about. But then towards the end of the season, you pick up a win in Tuscaloosa, you pick up a win in Gainesville, then to me that's more beneficial to your program than detrimental if you lose to a Mississippi State.
I think also the way that we always try and map these seasons out is like you pull out the graphic if you have a fancy screen in front of you, or if you're doing it the old school way, you pull out your magazine. You go WWWL, and you know, when you write the W in, it's like, okay, well, if I think you're good enough to beat this team, of course I'm going to predict you to beat that team. Well, how it actually happens is you lose to Arkansas, but then you beat Alabama. It makes no sense on paper. That's why, again, we don't play the games on paper. But you're right. I could have a 9-3 record where those 3 road games are all blowouts and it feels really hollow, or I could have a 9-3 record where I may have gotten upset, but I pulled one against somebody. And like, I keep going back to these Alabama wins because you got to understand how historically relevant getting over the hump in that rivalry has been for them, because that game was an afterthought for you guys when you were there.
Oh, more than that.
And now they get to sell it in terms of not vision but proven production. For a long time it was, come help us beat Alabama. Now it's, no, we've beaten them 2 out of the last 3 years. Come be a part of that. Now it's the Georgia hump that they're trying to get over because they hadn't beaten them in forever. They're terrible in Gainesville, so they got that to do as well this year. But look, they could lose all those games if they take care of business elsewhere. Sort of a ho-hum year, I know, by new Tennessee standards. Again, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Hey, you mentioned you always go back to the Bama games there, winning 2 of the last 3. And you're not the only one that keeps going back to that because we like to keep receipts. You know, it's something that we do here on Spotlight. And so, Damien, we do have to roll some tape of when you lost a certain bet after the Tennessee-Bama game last season.
We did make a bet before this game. We'll hold ourselves accountable here. So if Tennessee ends up winning this game, you will be wearing some orange the next time you appear on this show. You will also be singing Rocky Top.
Horrible. Rocky Top.
And then conversely, if Alabama wins, I will wear something.
There we go. There we go.
So this will be a big second half for all parties involved, especially this year at the desk.
It's looking down for you, though. But listen, I am a man of my word, so shout out to Emily Proud. I got a little tune for you guys. Rocky Top.
Oh, he's going all in.
Home, sweet home.
You're not wearing this all show, are you?
Good. Oh, I'm done.
Okay, that's all we get.
That's all we get.
A man of his word. He went through the bet.
Can I just let me say something?
No, I don't even know who you are anymore. So please reintroduce
yourself. Just let me say something. I just want to say something to all the people listening. Pate, my man beside me. Listen, I like all flavors of pie, even humble. Even humble. That's all I'm going to say.
That's what the prompter told him to say in front of him.
They're holding up cards behind the camera.
None of that whatsoever.
Wait, so Damien, I just want to know if this happens again, like if Tennessee beats Bama again, I feel like you have to learn the entire song. You kind of like fade it out there a little bit, like we need it in its entirety next time with the shirt.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Nope, 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 nope.
I learned my lesson with Emily
go.
Proud. I'm just going to say I'm looking forward to seeing a great contest between two great SEC teams, two great coaches, two rosters full of talent. It's going to be a great atmosphere at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Can't wait.
Okay, and I just got to give a shout out to that's my best friend's dad's shirt. Damien, I don't know if you know this, but I picked that up in Boca, like from their house the night before, just so you could, have that moment. So shout out to Mr. Gaskins. That was his Tennessee polo. Hey, Damien, we certainly appreciate it. Bringing us great stuff all week from SEC Media Days. And if you want to hear more from Josh Pate, by the way, you can catch his college football show Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube.